Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to talk about a moment, a very specific moment in time. A moment you probably experience, I don't know, once a week, maybe even once a day for some of us.
Okay, I'm listening.
You're scrolling on your phone, you see that pair of shoes, or maybe that new kitchen gadget you've spent 3 days convincing yourself you absolutely need, and you hit buy now. And then what happens? You forget about it.
You completely forget about it until, what, 2 days later, a box just magically appears on your doorstep?
Exactly. It feels like magic. We take it for granted. But, as we've talked about before, magic in the business world is usually just really, really complicated engineering that's disguised as simplicity.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
So today, we're peeling back that curtain. We aren't talking about the shopping app itself, not the Amazon, not the Mantra, and we're not talking about the delivery guy on the motorbike.
No.
We're talking about the invisible nervous system that connects the two.
Nervous system is actually the perfect metaphor here. It really is. Because if the brain is the marketplace, selling the item,
Okay.
and the muscles are the logistics trucks and the delivery people moving the item,
Right.
you still need something to transmit the signal from the brain to the muscles so the arm actually moves. You need those nerves.
And if that nervous system fails, the body is paralyzed. Nothing happens.
Precisely. The traffic just stops. The whole thing grinds to a halt.
So today we are doing a deep dive into a company called UNICOMMERCE Esolutions. And okay, let's unpack this right off the bat.
Please do.
Because Esolutions has to be the most generic corporate buzzword name I can possibly imagine. It sounds like a company that sells printer toner or something from the 90s.
It does lack a certain poetic flair, doesn't it? It's not a snappy name. But you absolutely cannot let the name fool you.
Yeah.
This is a story about infrastructure.
Infrastructure. I mean, when I hear that word, I think of concrete, steel, toll roads, bridges. I think of things that are, well, boring, but also reliable and absolutely essential.
And that is exactly what this is. It's just the digital version. UNICOMMERCE is the digital infrastructure for India's entire e-commerce supply chain.
So our mission today, then, is to understand how a SaaS company, software as a service, became the largest e-commerce enablement platform in India by revenue from transaction processing.
That's the claim.
Oh, yeah.
And to be crystal clear from the start, we aren't looking at a retailer. As you said, they don't sell shoes, they don't sell phones.
On a single product.
No. We are looking at the software, the code that manages the inventory, the orders, the logistics for over 7,000 clients.
7,000. And we've got a pretty big stack of sources for this one. Financial reports, stock stories, deep market analyses.
We do. We've got the numbers.
But I want to challenge that idea of infrastructure being boring.
Yeah.
Because usually, infrastructure plays are these low-growth, dividend-paying, sleepy stocks you buy for your retirement.
Sure. Utilities.
Exactly. But looking at these numbers, this company looks more like a high-growth tech play. So, I mean, which is it? Is it a utility or is it a rocket ship?
That is the core tension we need to explore. Because, we connect this to the bigger picture. UNICOMMERCE is a proxy. It's a proxy for the entire Indian e-commerce growth story.
What do you mean by proxy?
I mean, if you believe that Indians will buy more things online in 2030 than they do today, which seems like a pretty safe bet,
A very safe bet.
then you have to look at the pipes that carry all those transactions. UNICOMMERCE owns the pipes. They benefit no matter which brand or marketplace wins.
They're selling the shovels in the gold rush.
The ultimate shovel seller.
Okay, so let's dive into section 1. What does UNICOMMERCE actually do? Because I think there's a huge misconception here. When I first heard e-commerce logistics, my mind immediately went to a massive warehouse, full of guys on forklifts moving boxes around.
And that's the very first thing we need to clear up. UNICOMMERCE does not own a single warehouse.
None.
Not one. They don't own trucks. They don't employ delivery drivers. They absolutely do not own any of the inventory sitting on the shelves.
So they are selling what? Air, code, logic?
They're selling brain power.
Yeah.
That's what they're selling. Logic. An operating system. Let's imagine a warehouse for a second. Just picture it.
Okay.
It is a chaotic place. It's not neat and tidy. You've got, say, 50,000 square feet of shelves, 10,000 different scuthers, red shirts, blue shirts, size, medium size, large, different brands.
A sea of stuff.
A sea of stuff. And then you have orders pouring in. They're coming in from Amazon, from Flipkart, from the brand's own website, maybe a bulk B2B order from a retailer. It's an information nightmare.
And you've got people, humans, running around with lists trying to find all these different things.
Right. And if you try to manage that with a clipboard and a pencil or even a really complicated Excel spreadsheet, you are dead in the water. It's impossible at scale.
You'll ship the wrong item, or you'll sell an item you can't find, or that you don't actually have.
Exactly. That's the kiss of death in e-commerce.
Yeah.
UNICOMMERCE provides the operating system for that building. It brings order to that chaos.
Okay, so the source material, it throws a lot of acronyms at us. WMS, OMS, Omni RMS. I want to break these down because they sound like technical jargon, but they're actually the products they sell.
They are the products, yes.
Let's start with WMS.
WMS Warehouse Management System. This is the core. This is the foundation of everything they do. It's the brain, as we said, but the brain inside the four walls of that building.
Just that building.
Just that building. When a worker walks into the warehouse at the start of their shift, the WMS tells them on a handheld scanner exactly what to do. It removes the guesswork.
It's like a GPS for the warehouse floor.
A perfect analogy. It says, go to aisle 4, shelf B, bin 2, pick up the red sneaker, scan it to verify. The system checks. Yep, that's the right item. Then it says, put it in box number 3, which is for this customer.
So it removes the thinking from the manual labor. It turns it into a simple, repeatable process.
It optimizes it. It's not just about finding stuff. It handles things the source material mentions, like batch picking, wave picking.
Which are what, exactly?
There's just fancy terms for being efficient. Instead of picking one order at a time, the system might say, okay, we have 10 different orders that all need this same blue shirt. Go get 10 blue shirts at once.
Yeah.
It minimizes the walking. It maps out the most efficient path.
I see. So it's about making sure the item you bought is actually the item that gets put in the box and doing it as fast as possible.
That's the WMS in a nutshell. Accuracy and speed.
Okay. That makes sense for inside the warehouse. But you mentioned orders coming from everywhere. That seems like a much bigger problem. If I'm a shoe brand, I'm selling on Myntra, Amazon, my own Shopify store, maybe a few physical stores too.
And that is the inventory fragmentation problem. It's a huge headache for sellers. And that is where the OMS comes in.
OMS, Order Management System.
Right. If the WMS is the brain inside the warehouse, think of the OMS as the air traffic controller for the entire brand.
The tower.
Yes, exactly. It sits above everything and directs the traffic. Let's use a high-stakes example. You have exactly one pair of size 10 sneakers left in your entire inventory.
The last pair, very high stakes.
The last one. Now imagine a customer on Amazon clicks buy at exactly 10:01 a.m.
Yeah.
And almost simultaneously, a different customer on Myntra clicks buy for that same shoe at 10:01 a.m.
Oh, that's bad. If you don't update both websites instantly, you've just sold one pair of shoes to two different people.
Correct. That's called a stockout. And in the e-commerce world, that is a cardinal sin. The marketplaces will absolutely hammer you for that.
What do you mean hammer you?
They'll penalize your seller rating. They'll lower your product's search ranking so fewer people see it. If it happens too often, they might just ban you from the platform entirely. It's a huge risk.
Wow.
The OMS prevents this. It sits in the middle. The moment that Amazon order is confirmed, the OMS instantly, we're talking milliseconds, sends a signal to Myntra, to Shopify, to Agio, to every other channel and says, inventory for this SKU is now 0. Pull the listing, make it unavailable.
So it's the synchronizer. It keeps the truth about your inventory consistent across the entire internet.
Exactly. It maintains what's called a single source of truth for inventory. That's its entire job.
Now there's another acronym in the sources that sounds a bit more futuristic. Omni RMS. Omni-channel Retail Management System. Now, omni-channel is one of those marketing words that gets thrown around a lot. What does it actually mean in practice for a company using this?
It means merging the offline world with the online world. This is a huge, huge trend in retail right now.
Okay.
So let's say you're a big fashion brand. You have 50 physical retail stores across India. Traditionally, the clothes in those stores are, well, they're trapped. That inventory is invisible to the internet.
So if I'm in Mumbai, I can't buy a shirt that's sitting on a shelf in a store in Delhi, even if the main warehouse is sold out online?
Precisely. It was trapped inventory. Omni RMS unlocks it. It allows a brand to treat every single one of its physical stores as a mini warehouse, a mini fulfillment center.
So the system can see all the inventory everywhere, all at once.
All at once. So if you order a shirt online, the system might see, okay, the main warehouse is out of stock. But wait, the store in your neighborhood actually has one sitting on the rack.
And it routes the order not to the warehouse, but to the store manager's tablet.
Yes. The store manager gets an alert, picks the shirt off the rack, packs it up, and a local courier picks it up directly from the store. Or another popular option is buy online, pick up in the store. It unifies the entire inventory pool.
That feels like a massive efficiency gain. I mean, you don't have stock just gathering dust in a quiet store while online customers are being told out of stock.
It dramatically increases what's called the sell-through rate. It helps brands avoid those deep end-of-season discounts. It's why brands absolutely love this.
Okay, so we've got the WMS, the warehouse brain, the OMS, the traffic controller, and the Omni-RMS, the bridge between online and offline. But the reports mention they've added new stuff recently, Uniship and Unirico.
These are what you could call post-order or value-added products. Once the box is packed and leaves the warehouse, the WMS's job is technically done.
But the customer's anxiety is just beginning.
Exactly. Where is my package? We all feel it. Uniship provides that unified tracking layer. It plugs into all the courier partners and gives the brand and the customer a single place to see where the package is.
And Unireco? The name? Reconciliation? That just sounds like accounting homework.
It is accounting homework, but it's the kind of homework that can save a company millions of rupees. Think about the mind-numbing complexity of getting paid by a marketplace like Amazon or Flipkart.
It's not as simple as them just sending you the money.
Not at all. You sell an item for 1,000 rupees, they don't send you 1,000 rupees. They take their commission, they take a closing fee, a payment gateway fee, a logistics fee for shipping.
And what if the customer returns it?
Then there's a reverse logistics fee. Maybe the item was damaged in transit, so there's a dispute. Maybe they charged you for a 2-kilogram package when it was only 1 kilogram.
So at the end of the month, you get a giant deposit from Amazon for, say, 642 rupees for that order. How on earth do you know if that's the right number?
Exactly. It is death by 1,000 cuts. If you're doing 50,000 orders a month, you cannot check this manually. It's impossible. You just have to trust what the marketplace gives you.
You just accept it.
You accept it. Unirico automates this entire process. It's a piece of software that matches every single order against the final payment received and flags every single discrepancy. It says, hey, Flipkart overcharged you for the weight on these 50 orders, or hey, Amazon didn't properly reimburse you for this lost return.
So it's basically an automated auditor that finds leaking money.
It finds free money that was just slipping through the cracks. For a CFO, that is a very, very easy product to say yes to. The ROI is almost immediate.
So that's the product suite. It's the nerve center. Now, I want to talk about scale because the numbers in these reports they're quite large. They're processing a run rate of 101 crore plus annual transactions.
That's over 1 billion transactions a year. Let that sink in. 1 billion times a year, their software is involved in a package moving somewhere.
And managing 11,860 facilities. Let's break that down. That's nearly 9,000 warehouses and 2,900 omni-channel stores.
The footprint is massive.
That's a lot of moving parts. It feels like they really are the air traffic control for packages across the country.
That's a great way to think about it. And while it's primarily India, the sources mention they're expanding into Southeast Asia and the Middle East.
We'll get to that. But here's my question on the scale. 7,000 clients. In a country the size of India is 7,000. Is that a lot, or is it actually just a drop in the bucket?
It's both. And that's the interesting part. It represents a dominant market share among the organized players, the big brands, the established online sellers.
Okay.
But it's a tiny, tiny fraction of the total potential market when you include all the small businesses. But let's look at the type of clients they have. They are completely sector agnostic. Fashion, electronics, home goods, FMCG, beauty, pharma, you name it.
So they're not dependent on any one industry doing well.
Correct. And even more importantly, they serve the full spectrum. The sources say from small SMBs doing just 10 orders a month.
Just getting started.
All the way up to massive enterprises doing 50 lakh orders a month.
50 lakh, that's 5 million orders a month from one client.
Yes, and that is a key technical challenge that I think it's overlooked. Building software that is simple enough for a guy in a garage to use, but also powerful and robust enough for a massive corporation processing 5 million orders. That is incredibly difficult to do.
Why?
Because usually, software is one or the other. It's either too simple and the big guys can't use it because it lacks features, or it's too complex and bloated for the small guys to even figure out. Spanning that entire range is a real technical achievement.
Okay, so they have the product, they have the scale. Now let's talk about the money. This is section 2, the money machine. How do they actually get paid? Is this a standard SaaS subscription? You know, I pay a flat fee a month like I do for my video streaming service.
It's a hybrid model, but the secret sauce, the thing that really makes investors salivate, is that it is largely transaction-based.
Okay, let's unpack this. Transaction-based. So that means they're taking a little toll, a small fee, on every single package that their system processes.
Effectively, yes. They charge based on volume. So if you're one of their clients and you have a massive Diwali sale and your order volume triples for a month.
Their bill to you also triples, roughly.
Roughly, yes.
Yeah.
Their revenue is directly tied to the activity levels of their customers.
So they have skin in the game. They want their clients to succeed.
They are completely indexed to the success of their clients. And if you zoom out, they are indexed to the growth of e-commerce in all of India. If Indian e-commerce grows 20% next year, UNICOMMERCE's revenue grows significantly, even if they don't sign a single new client.
That is a very nice place to be. You're not just hunting for new customers. You're riding the massive wave of the entire sector.
It's a powerful tailwind. And the revenue numbers in the reports really show that. Revenue grew from 104 crore in March 2024 to 135 crore in March 2025. And the latest quarterly data we have, Q2 FY26, shows them at 46.34 crore. The arrow is clearly pointing up and to the right.
But, revenue growth can be easy if you just spend a fortune on marketing and sales. I want to look at the profitability because in the tech and SaaS world, there's this rule of 40. And often companies just burn cash for years and years chasing growth. UNICOMMERCE is profitable.
They are very profitable. And this brings us to what is probably the single most important financial concept for this entire deep dive. Operating leverage.
Okay. We hear this term thrown around at every tech IPO. Oh, we have incredible operating leverage. And usually it turns out to be a lie, or at least an exaggeration. Is it real here?
The data strongly suggests it's very real. Let's just walk through the math so it's clear. UNICOMMERCE is a software company.
Right.
Their biggest cost by far is building the platform. That means hiring expensive software engineers, writing all that code we just talked about, building the servers. That is a fixed cost.
Right. Whether they process 1 transaction or 1 billion transactions, the code is the code. The initial investment is the same.
Exactly. Once that software is built and running, the marginal cost, the cost to process 1 additional transaction is practically zero. It's just a few bytes of data moving through a server that's already paid for.
So as their revenue climbs from all those transaction fees, their costs don't climb with it. They stay flat.
They don't climb in lockstep. Of course, they have to hire more support staff and add some server capacity, but it's not a one-to-one relationship. If you run a trucking company and you want to double your revenue, you need to buy double the trucks and hire double the drivers. Your margins stay flat.
But with UNICOMMERCE?
With UNICOMMERCE, every new crore of revenue comes with very, very little new cost. That extra money, it flows almost straight down to the bottom line to profit.
And we can see this effect in the margins they report.
Yes, absolutely. The sources point out that their gross margins are high, around 38%.
Yeah.
But the really interesting number is the operating profit margin, or OPM. It improved from 14% to 20%.
So it expanded.
That expansion is the operating leverage kicking in. As they get bigger, they actually get more profitable, more efficient.
I saw a stat in one of the reports that it blew my mind. They only have about 300 to 312 employees.
Think about that for a second. 300 people.
Just 300 people.
And they are managing the back end for 11,000 warehouses and processing 1 billion transactions.
That is insane efficiency. The revenue per employee metric is nearly 3 million rupees. It's huge.
It shows that this is a true product company, not a services company disguised as a tech company. You see that a lot, right?
Yeah, where they just throw bodies at the problem.
Exactly. They're not throwing bodies at the problem. They are throwing code at the problem. The code does the work.
And looking deeper at the balance sheet, the reports highlight their RACE and ROE.
A return on capital employed and return on equity.
For our listeners who aren't CPAs, can you just quickly say why those are important?
They're just measures of efficiency. They tell you how good a company is at turning investment into profit. And UNICOMMERCE's numbers ROCE at 31.4% and ROE at 24.8% are stellar. They are incredibly efficient.
And they're generating free cash flow. One of the reports mentioned they have negative working capital needs in some areas.
Right.
Now, negative working capital sounds like a bad thing. Negative is usually bad. But in finance, this is kind of the holy grail, isn't it?
It is the absolute dream. It basically means your customers pay you before you have to pay your bills.
How does that work?
Well, they collect money from their clients for the services, and then they have, say, 30 or 60 days to pay their own expenses, like salaries or server costs. So for that period, they're holding their customers' cash.
So they're effectively being funded by their own customers. They don't need to go to a bank and borrow money to grow.
They don't. The business model itself generates the cash needed for expansion. It's a beautiful, virtuous cycle.
Okay, so they're profitable, they're growing fast, they're super efficient, and they don't need debt. It sounds perfect. It sounds a little too perfect.
It does.
Which leads me directly to Section 3, the moat. Why isn't everyone and their brother doing this?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? Why can't I just build this?
Exactly. I mean, the logic for a WMS isn't a state secret. Put box on shelf. Take box off shelf. If I go hire 20 of the smartest engineers from IIT, can I just build a clone of UNICOMMERCE in, say, a year?
You can build a software in a year. Yes, 100%. You can build a functional WMS.
Yeah.
But what you cannot build in a year is the integration web.
The integration web. Okay, explain that. What is it?
UNICOMMERCE isn't just a standalone tool that a company uses internally. Its real value, its power, comes from who it talks to, who it's connected to.
The other companies in the ecosystem.
The entire ecosystem. According to the sources, they have pre-built integrations with 131 marketplaces.
131. So that's Amazon, Flipkart, Mitra, Misho, Tata Click, Geomart.
All of them. And, even more importantly, 101 logistics partners. Blue Dart, Delivery, Ecom Express, DHL, and 100 others.
Okay, but again, to play devil's advocate, APIs are public, right? Amazon publishes its API documentation for sellers. Why can't my team of 20 engineers just read the manual and connect to Amazon's API?
They can. Of course they can. But can they connect to 131 of them? And more importantly, and this is the part that everyone misses, can they maintain those 200-plus connections?
Maintenance. The boring part.
The incredibly boring, tedious, and expensive part. These APIs are not static things that you build once and forget about. Amazon changes its API constantly.
Right.
Myntra updates its shipping label requirements. A logistics partner changes its tracking number format. These things break all the time.
It's a constantly moving target.
It is a maintenance nightmare of what engineers call spaghetti code. If you're a new competitor, do you really want to spend 50% of your precious engineering resources just fixing broken links with obscure logistics partners?
Or do you want them building new, cool features for your product?
Of course. UNICOMMERCE has already done that decade of grunt work. They have a whole team dedicated to nothing but keeping these pipes open and functional. So when a brand signs up with UNICOMMERCE, they aren't just buying software. They're buying maintenance as a service.
Right.
They are outsourcing the headache.
So they don't have to wake up one morning and find out they can't ship orders because Flipkart changed its code last night. UNICOMMERCE has already handled it.
UNICOMMERCE handled it. And that creates this powerful, safe choice effect. If you're a director of operations at a major brand and you choose UNICOMMERCE and it works, well, nobody says anything. It's the expected outcome.
But
if you try to save a little money and go with some cheaper, newer startup, and their API breaks during the peak Diwali sale,
you get fired.
You get fired. It's a career-limiting move.
Yep.
So UNICOMMERCE becomes the default, the industry standard.
And there's also the concept of switching costs once you have the software installed in your warehouses.
Oh, it's incredibly invasive, in a good way for them. It hooks deep into your ERP system, your accounting software, your label printers. Your entire warehouse staff is trained on how to use it.
So pulling it out isn't like canceling a streaming subscription.
It's not. Replacing a WMS is like performing open heart surgery while the patient is running a marathon.
You just don't do it unless you absolutely have to.
It is painful, it is expensive, and it is incredibly risky. You risk shutting down your entire operation for weeks. So customer churn tends to be very, very low. Once they get a customer, they tend to keep them for a long time.
Okay, so they have a real moat. It's not just code. It's this web of connections and high switching costs. But investors are never satisfied, right? They demand growth. They don't want a stable utility. They want an empire. So, Section 4, growth vectors. Where do they go from here? They already have 7,000 clients. Is there anyone left in India to sell to?
This is where we have to look at the massive, unorganized to organized shift happening in India. We mentioned that number, 7,000 clients. Do you have any idea how many SMBs, small and medium businesses, there are in India?
Tens of millions.
Tens of millions. And how are most of them, the vast majority, managing their inventory right now?
Pen and paper. A notebook?
Notebooks, WhatsApp chats, and Excel. The biggest competitor UNICOMMERCE has is not another software company, it's Microsoft Excel.
The dreaded spreadsheet.
Exactly.
Huh.
But spreadsheets don't scale. When you go from 10 orders a day to 50 orders a day, Excel starts to fail spectacularly. You need automation. You need a proper system.
So as these millions of small sellers grow and formalize, they naturally become potential customers for a platform like this.
They flow right into the sales funnel. The current market penetration, according to some estimates in the reports, is less than 5 to 10% of the total potential volume. The runway is still huge.
So the pie itself is getting bigger, and they're positioned to capture the new slices.
Correct. Digitization is a one-way street. People don't go back to pen and paper once they've tasted automation.
Okay, what about growth outside of India? Are they trapped in the domestic market?
No, international expansion is a key pillar of their growth story. The sources are clear. They are looking at Southeast Asia and the Middle East as their first ports of call.
And they specifically mention a partnership with a company called Nickel Express.
Right, for logistics in Saudi Arabia and the GCC region. That shows they're already making concrete moves.
But I have to play devil's advocate here. Can Indian software really win globally? We see Indian CEOs running global tech companies, but can an Indian-built SaaS product compete with and beat the American or European giants on their home turf?
It's a very valid skepticism, and it's been a historical challenge. But consider this. Logistics in India is hard.
That's the understatement of the century.
You have cash on delivery, which adds a whole layer of complexity.
Yep.
You have unstandardized addresses, near the big banyan tree behind the temple.
Right, no zip codes in some places.
Exactly. Yeah. You have a highly fragmented and sometimes unreliable courier network. The point is, if you can build software that handles the beautiful chaos of the Indian market, then handling a warehouse in Dubai or Singapore is actually easier.
That's the battle-hardened thesis. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Precisely. Their technology stack is robust because it has to be. So they might actually have a competitive advantage in other emerging markets that have similar logistical challenges.
Okay, and the final growth vector, cross-selling. The old do you want fries with that strategy.
Yes. This is a big one. They aren't just hunting for new clients. They're focused on selling more to the 7,000 they already have.
So they land a new client with the core WMS, the burger.
They land them with the burger. Then a few months later, the account manager calls them up and says, hey, your customers are asking for better tracking. Why not add on our Uniship module?
And then later,
hey, I see your finance team is struggling with marketplace payments. Have you seen our UNIRECO tool? It could save you lakhs.
So it increases the revenue per client without the cost of acquiring a new one.
And crucially, it deepens the moat. If I'm a customer using 3 of your products that are all intertwined, it is now 3 times harder and more painful for me to even think about leaving.
It gets stickier and stickier.
Exactly.
Okay, we've painted a very, very rosy picture so far. Profitable, growing, strong moat, huge international potential. But this is the deep dive. We don't do infomercials. We have to look at the dark side. Section 5. The risks. What could go wrong? What kills this company?
There are significant risks. And the first one, the elephant in the room, is the price tag, the valuation.
The stock price.
Yes, the PE ratio, price to earnings. Depending on which metric you use, forward or trailing, the stock is trading somewhere between 60 and 80 times its earnings.
Whoa, okay. An 80x PE ratio, that's ambitious.
It is what the market calls price for perfection. It means investors are essentially saying, we believe this company will grow at a very high rate, flawlessly, for many years to come.
And what happens if they don't grow flawlessly? What if they grow at 25% instead of the expected 30%?
The stock gets crushed. When you have a valuation multiple that high, any slip-up, any sign of a slowdown, any single bad quarter is punished severely. There is no room for error.
And the sources mentioned we already saw a hint of this.
We did. In Q2 FY26, a key metric called realization per transaction dropped by 15%.
Realization per transaction. Can you translate that into plain English?
It just means the average amount of money they made per order that they processed went down.
Why would that happen?
The company said it was due to a mix change, meaning more low-value B2B orders, which have lower fees, and also, and this is the important part, strategic discounts.
Strategic discounts? That sounds like corporate code for we had to lower our prices to win or keep customers.
That's often what it means.
Yeah.
And that brings us directly to the second major risk, competition and pricing power. The barrier to entry for just writing code is low. The moat is in the integrations. But what happens if a big, well-funded competitor, say a logistics giant like Shiprocket, or even a global player like Shopify, decides to attack the market? What if they decide to give away the WMS for free?
As a bundle. Use our primary shipping service, and we'll give you the warehouse management software for 0 rupees.
That is the commoditization threat. UNICOMMERCE's entire business model is based on charging for this software. If the market suddenly shifts to a model where the software is a free loss leader to sell something else,
Then UNICOMMERCE's business model could just evaporate.
it's a terrifying thought for them. It's what happens when your core product becomes a free feature in someone else's larger product.
It's what happened to standalone GPS units when Google Maps came pre-installed on every smartphone.
A perfect and brutal example. Garmin used to sell expensive hardware, then Google made the software free.
Ouch. Okay, risk number 3, and this is the big one that everyone in tech is talking about right now, AI.
This raises a really important, almost philosophical question about the future of software. UNICOMMERCE was founded in 2012.
In tech years, that is ancient. That's the iPhone 5 era.
It's a mature company. Their software is likely what we'd call menu-driven. You click a button, you select an option from a drop-down menu, you fill out a form, you print a label. It's a tool that a human uses to do their job.
Right. A human is in charge.
A human is in charge. The risk is what's being called agentic AI. What happens when AI can manage the entire fulfillment process autonomously? When you don't need a warehouse manager staring at a dashboard because an AI is predicting inventory needs, automatically routing orders, and even negotiating shipping rates with couriers in real time.
The question is UNICOMMERCE AI native? Are they built for this new world?
The sources don't explicitly show a massive defensible AI advantage. Of course they're adding AI features, everyone is. But if a new competitor starts today, from scratch, building their entire system from the ground up, with generative AI and agentic workflows at its core,
They might be able to build a system that's 10 times more efficient.
they might build a system that makes the old click-a-button software look like a filing cabinet in the age of the cloud. If the fundamental way we interact with software changes from clicking buttons to simply giving instructions in natural language, a lot of legacy SaaS players could be very vulnerable.
And lastly, a risk we can't ignore, regulatory risk. The government.
No, especially in India. As we said, 99% of their revenue comes from India. They are, for now, a purely domestic play. This exposes them to single-country risk.
And specifically, e-commerce policy.
Right. It's no secret that the government is wary of the big marketplaces like Amazon and Flipkart. They're constantly tightening foreign direct investment rules, data localization rules, things like that.
So if the government decides to really clamp down on Amazon for whatever reason, and Amazon's sales volume in India drops,
The UNICOMMERCE feels that pain directly downstream. They're the shovel seller, but if the government decides to shut down the gold mine, or at least restrict access to it, nobody needs to buy shovels anymore.
Okay, let's look at the people steering this ship through all these risks. Section 6, management and governance. Who is driving the bus?
The sources mention the founders, Ankit Pruthi, Manish Gupta, Vibhu Garg, Karun Singla. But honestly, when you look at the management style and the company culture that comes through in the reports, what really stands out is what's missing.
What's missing?
Drama, flashiness. There is no star CEO who's constantly on Twitter picking fights or making grand pronouncements. There's no massive, expensive ego project like building a headquarters in the shape of a rocket.
So boring is good.
In the world of B2B back-end infrastructure software, boring is beautiful. Their capital allocation style is described as incredibly conservative and efficient. They have zero debt.
They don't owe a single rupee to anyone.
No debt. And they don't pay dividends either.
So they're just hoarding the cash they generate.
They're keeping it on the balance sheet. This suggests they're either saving up for a rainy day or, more likely, planning a strategic acquisition at some point. But the key is they aren't spending recklessly. It feels like a very tight ship.
High revenue per employee, profitable, generating cash, no debt. It seems very disciplined.
It is. But the critique, to be balanced, would be, is it too conservative? In this new age of AI, where you might need to make huge, bold bets, do you need a visionary risk taker at the helm, or do you need a steady, conservative operator? That question remains to be seen.
So let's bring this deep dive in for a landing. We've covered the tech, the money, the moat, and the scary risks. What is the final verdict here?
If I had to summarize the entire story in one sentence, it's this. UNICOMMERCE is the classic, quintessential shovel seller in the great Indian e-commerce gold rush.
Everyone else is out there trying to find the gold. The brands are trying to be the next Nike. The marketplaces are trying to be the next Amazon. UNICOMMERCE doesn't care who wins.
They don't care at all. They just sell the tools to everyone.
Yeah.
And they sell those tools at a handsome 38% gross margin. It is a fantastic capital-light business business model, they've built a true SaaS machine with very high operating leverage.
And a strong moat.
A very strong, albeit boring, moat. It's made of 200-plus tedious, annoying, difficult to maintain integrations that nobody else in their right mind wants to build from scratch.
But there's always a but.
But they are priced as if nothing will ever go wrong. And in the world of technology, something always eventually goes wrong, whether that's disruption from AI, a brutal price war from a new competitor, or a sudden change in government regulation.
So for you, the listener, I think the big takeaway is this. Boring back-office operations can be absolutely incredible businesses. You don't need to be the sexy, flashy brand on Instagram. There is massive, massive money in being the invisible system that just makes sure the package doesn't get lost.
It's a fundamental lesson in the enduring value of infrastructure, the picks and shovels.
So I want to leave you with a provocative final thought to chew on. We've talked a lot today about warehouses and people on handheld scanners clicking buttons on a screen. But as we look forward, not 1 or 2 years, but maybe 10 years, you have to ask yourself this. As AI begins to truly run companies, will we even need dashboards and warehouse management software in the way we think of them today? Or will the warehouses just run themselves? Is UNICOMMERCE building the permanent digital infrastructure of the future? Or are they simply perfecting the ultimate, most efficient version of the past?
That is the multi-billion rupee question.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.